Welcome to the Business Series podcast. My name is Ankush Jain, and I am a state of mind coach working with businesses and individuals. On each episode of this series, I'll be speaking to a coach or trainer on a different topic relevant to your career or personal development. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Series podcast. Today I'm joined by Brooke Wheeldon-Reece, who is the president and CEO of the Cypress Initiative and the co-author of the Spark mentoring curriculum, which is currently being taught to thousands of children in Tampa and around the world. Prior to her work at the Cypress Initiative, she spent her time as a business consultant in the mergers and acquisitions department at Verizon and as a trainer and curriculum developer for learning.com. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Today, we are going to be talking about how to unlock the creative potential in your team. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means, how you do it. We'll discuss some examples that Brooke might have, as well as the key takeaway. So let's start at the beginning of that. What do you mean, Brooke, by the creative potential?
So what I've seen is that everyone brings their own perspective into our culture, and there are ideas that we haven't seen yet or plans that we haven't seen yet. So as the leader, I have a very clear path in which I think Cypress is going. But I also am very aware that there are roads that I have not seen. And so I really try to instill in all members. So we're actually hiring a new person pretty soon. And the idea is just to get them to see that their ideas are just as important as my idea. And so that potential is under everybody, regardless of their past experiences. And people don't always know that, right? They think you have to have X, Y, and Z experience in order to have potential in a certain area. And what I've seen is that's just not true. So everyone has equal footing on our team to bring ideas to the table and then to see how they'll unfold.
And this might sound like a really obvious question, but what's the benefit of that real world tangible benefit that you've seen in your team?
So the Cypress Initiative is a nonprofit organization. So we have a double bottom line. We have to make money in order to serve our clients, and we have to have a big impact in order to have a reason to be in business. So our double bottom line is impact and a financial bottom line. And what I've seen is giving my team the space to have ideas, even when it comes to other people's job descriptions or job details. It just gives each department, and I say department, but we have one person in each department, but each department a different perspective to look at, and it just opens doors. So one impact that I've seen in our community is we have zero funding for a support group that we run, but we're in the third year of running it every single week, just because one of our team members, came to the table and said, okay, we don't have funding for this specific population, but we have the drive to do it. So I think we can do it. And so I just had her come up with a way that she could support that area herself. And it was her idea. And so she does it herself every single week. And the other side of that is we had someone call in about 2 years ago and ask for a service that we don't provide for teens. And I always tell my team, if you're going to bring me an idea, or if I bring you an idea, or if someone brings you an idea, we need to stay in the space of talking about how it can work and stay away from the space of talking about why it won't. And that's just because we're making it all up anyway. So we might as well stay in the space of how it could instead of why it won't. And so when this person called, we did not know this person, but they called and said, I'm looking for basically a residential home for a teen. That is not what we do at all. But we agreed to meet with this person to see how we could help anyway. And to date, this person is our biggest donor and funder based off of one small conversation. And that was not in the picture at the time, but it was just because we were open to having a conversation and seeing where it goes. So,
and do you believe this creative potential? Because it sounds like you're saying that it's just about seeing that, but some people may say that, well, some people have it and some people don't, or people might be listening to this and saying, well, you've given us some great examples there, Brooke, but you don't know me, I don't have that. What would you say to that?
I would say that, well, one, I don't believe you, because every single person on the planet has this ability to create, and we're doing it all day, every day. So the moment that we wake up in the morning, whatever ideas are in our head are a creation that's coming through us. So depending on what ideas we take seriously and think that we can accomplish, and what ideas we don't, is the road we live on. So the potential that is in everybody is limited only by what they think they're capable of, and they think they aren't. Because the moment that switches, then it opens up an entire new world.
Okay, so let's take you at face value and say, right, everyone's got this creative potential. So how, as a leader, someone listening to this, they've got a team, how do they unlock that in the people that work for them or people that are in their team?
I really think as I know for myself, I can get really caught up in my idea, right? So I have a plan. I have a massive vision for Cypress, but I have to be conscious of the fact that that's my vision. And I have a team of people I'm working with, and they have just as much capability to create a way to push Cypress forward as I do. And so if I'm only looking at my vision and the ideas that come through me, I'm very limited in that space. So I have to pull myself back sometimes. So if someone comes into my office and says, I have an idea, this is what we need to do, I have to be really conscious about listening to that, because it's only going to benefit all of us if I'm open to it. And we have tendencies as leaders, I've seen it over and over again, well, that's not in my line of thinking, so that obviously can't be the right answer. But if someone comes with you can kind of feel it, like the energy where they're excited about something, or they see a way to do something, then as a leader, I need to make sure that I give them that space to see where it goes.
And do you have any examples of that, of where maybe you've either done that in your own team, or I know you've worked with other kind of organizations, and in the work that you do with them, help them do this? Do you have any examples where you could talk about this, maybe kind of like a before and after, something that could bring this to life for us?
The first thing that comes to my mind is an organization that we worked with. They started to see just something really simple, and that is how different perspectives really did kind of open your mind up to something you haven't thought of before. So this team we were working with, they were doing something with coding. I don't know, it's not anything that I have any experience with, but their team did. And they started to bring people in, like, the receptionist into the conversation, or the HR director into the conversation when they'd have problems. And one of the things that they saw was these people that had no experience in their detailed work or their coding or whatever they were doing started asking questions that wouldn't normally be asked. And the way the mind works is, all of a sudden you start broadening the way in which you would get curious about something. And so what happened is they're having all these issues with coding and how to code different products. And somewhere along the way, someone said the code had to only be 40 characters, when in reality that wasn't an actual rule. And so there was a lot of resources going to making sure that these codes were only 40 characters. And it was either the HR person or the receptionist, I can't remember. She said, well, where does it say it needs to be 40 characters? Is that true? And it turned out it was not true, but they had been living under that idea for years and creating processes around that idea that was not even a true idea. And it released a lot of the processes that they were going through and a lot of the limitations that weren't actually there. and in turn sped up their production process. So just small things like that, getting the importance of other people's perspectives just for the mere fact that it helps you get out of what you already know and opens your mind to see something new.
So what I'm hearing, Brooke, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say is the way that we really unlock the creative potential in our team is very simple. We need to see that it's there in the first place. And once we see that there is creative potential in every single member of our team, automatically our behaviors and how we utilize a team is going to change. And when we do that, I'm guessing there's lots of kind of effects of that in terms of people feel motivated, people feel involved, included, they feel valued, all of these good things that we know already. That is a side effect. This is what I'm hearing. It's a side effect of seeing that each person in our team's got that creative potential and that we're open to seeing it in them and wanting to hear it from them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it is first you have to see it, right? So even as your own self, if you don't see yourself as creative or have this potential inside of you to be creative, then you're going to limit yourself. But as a leader, if you don't see that in your team, then you're only going to look to them for the very thing that you hired them for their small sliver of expertise, when in reality, everyone has the ability to come to the table with ideas that you've never thought of before.
Fantastic. What's the one takeaway you want people to leave this episode, this show with, to take back to them, in their day jobs?
I would say in business, if the one thing I've learned is when you hear something new, we naturally go to why it won't work. And that is just old thinking that we already know. If you can just get yourself to start thinking about how it may work, even if it never does come to fruition, but just that how it may work instead of why it won't, you'll get new thinking. And that's where the creative potential lies. How might that work? Your receptionist comes to you and says XYZ. Instead of automatically going, nope, that won't work because of all the things I already know, just starting to get to, well, how may that work? And you would be just shocked at what opens up in your mind.
Thank you so much. I'm sitting here listening to you and thinking that if someone really took this to heart and created a team where they really saw that potential, creative potential, and that value in every single person, what a fantastic team culture would be created and how valued the whole team would feel. And just a final question, would you say that only the leader has the ability to do this? Could you say if you were working in any team, that any team member could help create this culture of seeing the value in others?
Absolutely. I think it's everybody. It's not, the leader leads that, right? But there can be one person that can take that down as well. So if every time, you're at for example, Cypress, we're at a team meeting and there's one person going, well, that's not going to work because it kind of can block the creative flow. So it's on everyone for sure.
Fantastic. Finally, just to wrap up, if people wanted to find out more about you or your organization, or they wanted to get in contact with you, how might they do that?
CypressInitiative.org is a great place, or you can email us at info@cypressinitiative.org.
Thank you so much today, Brooke. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'll be back next time with another person talking about another topic relevant to business.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Business Series podcast. If you want to hear more, you can click on the subscribe button below. You can share this with someone else who can benefit, or you can like it and encourage others to listen. Also, it would be great if you left a comment below, as I love hearing from listeners and I want to keep creating great content for you. Thanks for listening.